you're out in the west, imagine this old building sitting in the middle of this valley and nothing around it, hardly any homes. Must have been quite a magnificent sight. Wants to be in my years, see it look back there. And so they were mighty proud of this block. This is where we had church. This is the only place in town we could hold church. And all the 4th of July, 24th of July celebrations were centered around this old building. The one story that I like to share with you is about the Silver Reef days. When the Silver Reef was such a popular mining community, there was 10,000 to 12,000 miners over there. Many of them were Catholic. And so Father Scanlon and another priest or two were sent to be here to provide their religious services for them. And so the local people here offered Father Scanlon the use of this building for his mass. Father Scanlon was probably quite a smart man as well. And he said, I'll accept your offer, providing that your choir doesn't use it. And so the local choir learned their music in Latin and performed for them when they have their Catholic mass. Now that's just a sample of the numerous uses of this old building throughout the years. But this is where one of the most significant historic speeches was given. That was in 1899 when the Venezuelan Snow was directed to come down here and have a conference. During that time in the history of the church was in quite a lot of debt. This area was having a terrible drought. And praying, he was trying to determine what he could do, guidance from the Lord. Well, he was directed to come here and hold a conference. And as he stood here at this pulpit, he was giving the people their talk. And he's told them that he did not know why he was directed to come here. During the course of his speech, he stopped, gazed at the ceiling for a moment. As he started, he just says, the word of the Lord is nothing new. It's the same as it's been from the beginning. The time has come for every Latter-day Saint who professes to be a Latter-day Saint, hold this clean up, firm foundation, is to do the will of the Lord and pay the tithing in full. This is the answer to our problem that will help the church get out of debt. And if you will follow this commandment and adhere to it and pay your tithing here, the Lord will bless you with the needed moisture that you will have for your crops. Many of them hadn't even planted. And so with this promise, the people responded, planted their crops. But it was about 8 weeks, trial of faith, that they finally were blessed with the rain they needed. Now this goes down in our history as the windows of heaven prophecy. This is the pulpit that he stood at when he gave that speech. This is the building where that windows of heaven video was prepared.
At St. George, Utah, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of my mother's birth. And we've dedicated this family reunion to my mother. And we've had 2 days. We've had 2 days of wonderful activity down at St. George, great programs. This program has been organized and promoted by my elder sister, Elaine Hafen Briggs.
Great-grandparents, the Sylvesters, are buried. He was always an early riser, and she thought it was strange that he wasn't up and had the fire going, and she went in and he had died in his sleep, and that was always such a shock to her, because they had settled this country, worked for it so hard, and this was a very difficult thing. But she maintained them home for a long time, and then went to live with different children and spent the last 10 years of her life with our grandparents. This is my mother's grandparents. Yes, yesterday Gloria and Bill were Rebecca and James Sylvester, and that's who these people are here. These were cousins, and their son found that the cattle were coming in here and that the graves were being desecrated, and so he individually put up all the fences and planted some of the flowers so that I'm always impressed what one individual can do.
Elaine,
Yeah.
this works a hell of a lot better with film in it. Would you mind?
No, I don't.
This is in memory of the whole family. I'm placing flowers in memory of all of us, descendants of the Sylvesters, James and Rebecca Sylvester. I'm Carleen Nelson Paxton. I'm a granddaughter of Rosa Gregerson and Sylvester. And Althea Hafen is my great aunt. I wrote these down as I remember, and Althea for the flowers on her ceiling. I remember for the water in the basement. I remember the willow tree out off the porch. I remember a knot in the dish towel that flew across the dining room table when the boys were getting restless. I remember a book about her father that's still cherished in my family today, and my children still are reading it now. Grandma, tell us about the boy that come across the plains, and I still get out this book to show them. And my Aunt Althea wrote that book. I remember a trick knee that gave her bad time, and since I've had bad knees myself, I appreciate some of the ordeals she must have gone through taking care of that family with a bad knee. I remember an old treadle sewing machine and her working. Gloria had to have clothes to go to school, and that treadle sewing machine was just flying. She didn't even stop to visit with me. That treadle sewing machine just went as fast as she could to make clothes for Gloria to go to school. I remember the boys coming to the house at Christmas. I don't remember what they brought, but there was always somebody, usually the younger boys, that came to the house with a gift from Aunt Althea at our house, and we always looked forward to them coming. It was probably you, Ralph, one of them. I have a story to tell and a sin to confess. I stole once in my youth. I got my feelings hurt, and when gifts were passed out, I was passed over, so I proceeded to go down into my grandfather's basement and pick me a gift of my own. It was the littlest thing I could have. I packed the pistol and the powder horn and all the things that in later years were hauled to the dump because water flooded the basement. That little token I was so guilty about, I put it in a box, jewelry box, and it stayed there for 25 years before I ever let my mother know that I had it because I felt so guilty. But I wasn't about to give it up. And I brought it here to share with you today. It's the Black Hawk Ward Medal of Andrew Ferdinand Gregerson. Mother brought Aunt Lyle by one day to see it. When I told my mother I had it, I didn't get the scolding that this very honest mother felt I should have had. She was so delighted in seeing the medal that she didn't scold me for it. And this is the Black Hawk War Medal. It has Andrew Ferdinand Gregerson's name on the back, and it's still a cherished memento in my home. I'd like you to share that. I did get something out of that basement that I didn't take. When it came time to tear down the house, we went down the basement, and there was one of Aunt Althea's paintings that she had made for her sister Rosa, Rosa's favorite scene, the old Steamboat Mountain. It hangs in my kitchen, and to show the joy that and how we cherish this early painting of hers, my son has put his name on the back to let me know that when I'm dead, it's his. But so I brought these two mementos to share with you, and one other story to tell, if I may. I was in the dress shop. My mother ran a dress shop, and Althea was there, and she says, "Carleen, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I moved home with my 3 children. I'm living alone now." And she said, "Have you got time to give me a permanent?" And I said, "Of course." And she came that night, and all the kids were in bed. The lecture was 2 hours while I wrote that permanent. What was I doing, hitting children and taking in our I should
Want
be
to take it
in
out,
college.
Kevin?
Yeah, could you please?
Hadn't I given it some thought? What was I doing with my good mind that I would sit here and do nothing?
Can you turn that over?
Not only
Did she
that,
say his
she
name was
gave
on the
me
back?
2 hours. The next day, she proceeded to get Uncle Eric off in the corner. Eric smelled her nephew. Say, Carlene should be away to the university. I went down to see my parents, and Althea had been to my father
Okay,
in his
thank you.
store, my mother and hers. Carlene needs to get back to school. I went back to school, got an academic scholarship to Utah State University, and with my brother packing me in Uncle Guy's old cattle truck, I went to school. When I graduated 2 years later, my brother came back with Uncle Guy's cattle truck to pick me up and bring me home. I wish there was some way I could tell her as I look back and think of the kick in the seat of the pants that she gave me to get me on. I've taught school for 30 years, raised a family, educated them, bought me a home, and now I run a bed and breakfast. And just all that because my Aunt Althea says, what are you doing wasting your life here, tending children, taking in ironings? You should be in school. And I got there. There was a mat that was very hand cut that I'm sure Aunt Althea cut herself. And when I wanted to remat it, I opened it up and there was a handwritten poem in it that I gave Elaine. And she said it was in her mother's handwriting, and it was a poem that she had written about this scene, and it had been in that picture, framed in there for nearly 60 years. And I hope when you see that poem, you'll enjoy it, because it was
Robert put it in his writings. It's in there, and I'm sending you that.
Are you really?
Well,
A copy of it. Oh, I'd love to put it back inside.
We'll talk to Dad.
Thank you for sharing this day with me. I'm very delighted to be here tonight.
we're so happy.
Wherever you'd like to. Wherever you'd like to.
It's probably the first traffic jam Pintura's ever had.
Born 1888, died 1966. Valerie and Gloria are placing some Memorial Day flowers on this headstone. That's my mother's brother.
Could be wolf tracks, who knows? There is no wolves around here, and coyotes couldn't get through
Okay,
those barbed
Christian,
wire
tell me
fences.
about it.
It's a dog.
Christian, tell me about it.
It could have been two cats fighting because look, there's some tracks going that way, some tracks going that way. Both tracks are going different ways. Hey, Dad, this could be different kind of tracks. Probably Mom. There's another track that you might enjoy taping. Oh, there. You know, guys?
Okay, take me to it.
Kev,
Hi.
you got a Voyager. How you
Yeah.
like it?
Well, we were forced into that. When Emily was born, because we were all riding in a Honda Accord hatchback.
Ooh.
go see.
Mother did tell me she had a room over there in Rockville.
Okay, let me talk to his mom.
That's where the Gifford rode up with his guitar under the window and serenaded her.
She didn't like that.
She didn't encourage that sporting.
No, she didn't want to get into that.
Must not have been too good of a musician.
May I just interject a comment here? Brother Snow, Edward H. Snow, Mother told this story. She was thinking about coming out here and going teaching there. She taught out here 1 year at some school. And he was the patriarch, the big man in the church there. And he had counted Mother. And she'd either been out here a year or she was going to come out. And Edward H. Snow said, why don't you go out there and take some good blood out there, a bunch of those people, so you'll have some good, healthy children. My mother was very indignant about that statement. She turned to him and she says, I'll leave that up to your daughters.
Farsighted as you can. Oh, but near side. Yeah. I'm not very good at it. See, my mom always had to help her. Great. Hey, zoom in on you.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You got very lucky, you could fall on his feet and grip and have his leg rip off. We're talking about.
Well, we got around to ask him.
Christian, do not throw that rock. Because I just asked you not to.
Just throw it in the pond.
No.
Come look at this view, Christian.
I already saw it.
Isn't it beautiful? Come stand with Mommy and look at it. Something like this. What?
We're not a couple of paintings and stuff that look like this. You've got student by little baby.
It's gonna come back.
Dana, be real careful up here, okay, doll?
Isn't that something, Christian?
Can you say something to Mommy?
Say hi, baby.
Hi.
Give Daddy love. Are you having a good time? Say yes. Okay. Want a little more, Dad?
No, that's good enough.
Okay.
Got real lucky. You got here for 5 seconds.
Becky, come on.
Grandmother to child, something distant, something mild, something near and something new, something tried and something true. Call her angel, call her friend. The course of love will never end. 100 years is but an hour, dear to our hearts, this desert flower. And then
Kermit.
Elaine's
Kermit.
verse went up.
Can you shut that kid up,
Across the
please?
distant sands of time, some loving memories spring to mind. Floating soft on evening's breeze, a gentle smile, a thought to please. And Joyce's verse, you watched your sons go off to war. Your prayers went up to heaven by the score. You sent your children off to school. No scrubs were found in your bunch, and no fools. Norman's verse was next. Perhaps you felt her presence near, one faced with sorrow or with fear. The feelings that only mothers know, the comfort only mothers can bestow. Briggs' verse went, your healing hope, sometimes alone. He made our humble house a home. He taught us all through honest toil to wrest the life from mortal soil. And Ralph's 9 babes you bore, each spirit grand. Some chose the skies, some loved the land. Just like the slowly ripened peach, you were the warmth that nurtured each. My mom's verse, dear noble women up above, still send us messages of love. They labor on with tender care to bring all of the family children safely there. Gloria's verse, so paint your pictures in the sky, play your music in the wind. A shaft of wheat bent in the storm, a place of refuge safe and warm. Richard's verse went, poetry, music, culture, art. If there was none such thing, then you'd be the start. A pussy willow from the field, that eternal try you would always yield. And then Greg again for Reginald. Oft times the silken veil doth part, and when we touch together heart to heart, again our winding paths will meet. True celestial reunion, oh how sweet. And then the final course, Mother Grand, Grandmother stay, your little children want to play. Building forts or playing dolls, we'll head on home next time you call. Your heavenly work is still not done till all your daughters and your sons express the love we cannot hide around the family hearth, sit by your side. That's
You want to stand?
We're going to do a song that is part of a packet of songs that Kimmel sent me. So they range from ballads to rock numbers to all kinds of tempos, all kinds of things, poetry. Some of it could easily be rap, a lot of it. And this one song is one of my real favorites of the whole bunch, and the title of it's Rio Grande Moon, and there's some Western nuances in it. And living in Manhattan, which is very dense and very compressed, this is a song that I would have to like sort myself away from Manhattan, find a quiet room. I showed this to Ryan this afternoon, and he picked it up osmotically, instantly. So he has it now. All right, we have a special guest here. I'd like to introduce Richard Hafen, who we just flown in.
Hey!
See the dust devil dance, sagebrush perfume in the afternoon. But late at night, it's a real grand moon. But late at night, it's a real grand moon. A cloud without a mule won't get too far. I've done a lot of wishing on the road that's done. My state contribution better get here soon. Late at night, it's a real grand moon. Louder now. But late at night, it's a real grand moon. For the battle with the bottle, but I don't know. Life really ain't bad, it can never go. A liquid diet, but I don't know. Late at night, it's a real grand moon. But late at night, it's
1866, a sorrowful murder took place some 12 or 15 miles northwest from Pipe Springs, 4 miles east from the Maxwell Ranch. Joseph and Robert Berry and Robert Berry's wife were returning to their homes in Long Valley. That's Berryville, now Glendale up in Long Valley on Highway 89. Ranch. They were ambushed by Paiute Indians. Evidently, Robert was taken prisoner and tied to the front wheel of his wagon where he had to witness the brutal torture of his wife. Then he was shot full of arrows. The horses were taken and the wagons were looted. The boys killed one Indian, the leader. His name was Shipshank. He was a Paiute Indian chief. They were all killed. Robert Joseph Berry and Robert's wife. And they're buried up at Grafton where we were today. William Shanks Berry was the father of these 3 boys and another boy who was killed down in Tennessee in August 1884, and that's Aunt Lavina's husband. He was on a mission down there as he was killed. There were 4 Berry boys, Robert and Joseph, William, and one other one. And of the 4 boys, 3 were killed, 2 by Indians, and Aunt Lavina's husband down in Tennessee. Their father was William Shanks Berry. He was born in Dresden, Weakley County, Tennessee on the 3rd of February, 1838. He was the son of Colonel Jesse and Amalia Berry. The family migrated to Salt Lake Valley in 1848 and subsequently moved into the south part of the territory and settled at Canara, the highway here. The martyrdom of William was all the more a severe blow to the family for the reason that in the Indian War of 1866, and John W. Berry, he was the sole surviving son of Colonel Jesse Berry, who came to Salt Lake City to meet and accompany the remains of his martyred brother to Canara, that's Aunt Biddy's husband, to his mother, then in her 81st year had performed a similar service for his brothers who were the victims of the Indian savagery. Elder William S. Berry, that's Aunt Biddy's husband, was of a fine personal appearance, being fully 6 feet in height and powerfully built. He was somewhat slow of speech, but endowed to a remarkable degree with good sound sense and was of a mild and genial disposition. Of the 4 brothers, 3 were killed, 2 by Indians, and Aunt Biddy's husband was murdered by a mob in Tennessee in 1884. Thank you.
One day on his call, he stopped. No, he was 3 years old. 3, and he was born in August, and he came down ill in October, and he died on December the 6th. But he was sick for 6 weeks. And, you know.
What's the matter with
pneumonia. And I'm saying, you know, they used to say that pneumonia was the old man's friend. And now with the new medicines, people don't die of pneumonia like they used to. Occasionally, but not like they used to.
November 3rd. Grandma, he just came up and said, Mom, Guy Hafen was born on November 3rd. And I said, I know. Why do you think you have his name as your middle name? You never told me that. He was born on November 2nd.
Are you a guy too?
Well, he's a Hafen.
Hafen
Gabriel
guy.
Hafen.
Yes,
Gabriel Hafen.
Gabriel Hafen. Hafen is a
Gabriel
middle
Hafen
name.
is a middle name.
What a deal.
Did you know who this was?
Right.
Do you know who this is? This is John Guy.
Oh, he doesn't have a guy.
And the other Gabriel is Gabriel Guy. And you're Gabriel Hafen. And they're all for John Hafen.
You just got the last name and he got the first name.
Yeah.
This is where Mother and Daddy are buried. Right back of us is where Grandmother and Grandfather Gregerson are buried. Over here is where Pat and Patricia's little Danny is buried.
Greg and Patricia's.
He was their third child, and he died 4 days after her. Over here is Reginald. He is Mother and Daddy's third child. And in those days, all they had was a mustard plaster. Whether you were at home or in the hospital,
Just about everybody's here. That's
all on earth they had to treat you with was a mustard plaster. I wrote this up, but I forgot to tell one of the most important details, so I'm telling it to you now. Dr. McGregor went around and Mother took the baby to him several times, and 3 different times he took a large needle, this is all they had, and went around the lungs trying to locate where the infection was, and he never could locate it. And this was a source of deep concern to him. And years later, when his son was going to medical college back east, they told him he wasn't expected to live, and Dr. McGregor took the train, no planes, and went back. And when he came back, he came to Mother and made a special trip to stop and see her, and said, "That has always bothered me, that I lost that child, that there wasn't anything I could do. If I had him today, I could save him." Lorenzo had exactly the same kind of pneumonia, and I saw what they did that I could do, and they cried together. She loved him dearly, and so you know why. So, this is Reginald, who was 3 years old when he died. His birthday was the 29th of August, and he died the 6th of December. And, well, while I've got you listening, we were under quarantine. You people don't know about quarantine. In those days, if you had chicken pox, whooping cough, whatever, they brought these big red signs with what it was and put it on the front of your house. And that meant that you were under quarantine, that you had a contagious disease, you were not to leave, and no one was to enter. So Mother had a nephew who was living in the little back room who had diphtheria, which is a problem in the throat. And they put up the diphtheria sign so nobody could, and no one did come in. In all of that illness, and with all that she was struggling with, there was no visible support for her because people were literally afraid of those contagious diseases. And it was always a source of annoyance to her that after they had these graveside services and very few people came, the health department came and took the sign down. And she was disturbed with that. This is the grandson of Sister Ida Sigmiller, who was the midwife. She called Mother and then came to the house, and she was not afraid of that quarantine. She was the one person who came and became with solace and understanding. They knew that Reginald was seriously ill, and Grandpa Hafen had just recently married Roseanne, and Uncle Arthur and Aunt Rilla came that night. And they were administering to Reginald, and he died during the administration. But when I mentioned members of the family that what I had written as Robert, but she told only then did I begin to understand her sorrow. And she said, what a rock that you dwelled that Sister Secular was to them. She said she prepared them for death and then came and spent hours with them afterward. And so she was always so thankful for that understanding that she received that helped her and helped her not to be bitter against the church, against God, all of those things that we feel often. And Sister Segmiller was the one, no mortuaries. Sister Segmiller came and prepared him. Yes, but nobody came because of the quarantine. Well, they came the next day or something and took down the sun. After it was all over.
I want you to all remember that when we had the headstone for Daddy and Mama, that we specifically requested the sheaves of wheat on the side to be engraved. And those sheaves of wheat represented not only Daddy's provision, but it represents the staff of life. It represents productivity, and it represents something that lasts forever. And with the symbol of the temple there, it also have that feeling. Now, in addition to this, across the road, we were very fortunate and a wonderful, wonderful story and several trips up to Florida. Across the road in that room we saw 21 gravestones, which various members of you have paid for and requested. And the symbolism is thus that our names are on the back, and on the morning of the resurrection, one stands and faces this direction, and Mom and Daddy will have the children in front of them. So anytime you want to use it, it's available. If you don't want to use it, ignore it.
Gift to Joyce. These two. I remember the thing. And it has Greg left?
Yeah.
Greg, yeah, they left right after that.
And when you take these are for
On behalf of her husband, Will Hafen, and my elder brother.
The ride out here is worth it without the dinosaur tracks.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? Well, he's a fine, handsome lad.
Yeah, it's still
beautiful
curly
hair.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's still curly when he gets hot, huh? When it grows out long.
Wait, start at the beginning. I think I might want to hear this.
that it was maybe time for him
Start at the beginning, he says.
Well,
Kevin had beautiful curls.
Beautiful curls, and they were quite long, almost ringlets, but they were so beautiful, and they just covered his whole head, and his mother was just delighted in them. And I was in the area, and I kind of was thinking that he was getting old enough. I realize now he was still quite young, but I was thinking he was getting old enough to part with those curls. And a young lad like that, he should part with those curls. But his mother didn't want to, but I happened to be going with a young man who was a barber. And we came over to visit. And your mother, Elaine, just enjoyed this friend of mine so much, and anyway, she consented to letting him cut those curls. And that's where you got your first curl cut.
Okay.
And then after it was all done, I think your mother wept, and I was maybe a little sorry I'd pushed for to get those curls cut. But I thought you were getting old enough that you know, you should have the proper boy cut.
I think here's another trap, and here's another trap. Mom, we're gonna leave.
Okay, Gabe, don't step right on it, but tell me what, put your hand down in it for me, okay?
Ian, come on.
Can you go over there and do that? No, no, well, wherever you want.
Bigger than my hand.
Let's go down the trackway now. Where's John?
Right
Where are
here.
you? Oh, there you are.
Right here. You have my nose and glasses. I don't know if you can pick up anything else.
Let me back off just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. No, you're okay. You're just fine.
Good.
I got you in the hillside in the background.
Well, that's fantastic.
Well, we're here at Warner Valley.
You can pick up the narration now.
Rather
Yeah.
discovered the last 10 years.
I want to see if I can follow.
And there were more tourists go to the side.
Here's my question, Kevin. What do you think those dinosaurs were thinking when they were here at this very intersection? Yes, Kevin?
Well, I'm trying. I know exactly what they were thinking.
Were they thinking this is Zion?
No, they were thinking.
Where's the water?
They were thinking. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You think? And were they lost, or did they know where they were going?
Well, didn't I just tell you?
That's right, you did. Kevin, I got one other question for you.
Yeah?
Let's get a suffocate.
Okay, now do the.
Okay, this clearly, Kevin.
Wait a second there. Hold on.
Clearly, this footprint is facing this way.
No, clearly that is my dad's
It's
footprint.
facing this way. How was that animal able to do that?
Obviously, they were nursing.
Maybe it was my dad.
They were playing Twister.
There's
the man with the answer. Holbrook had the answer.
Twister.
Hold on a second.
Is that good? Is he flooding you?
Did you get enough?
Anyway, these three girls were down here to talk. Actually, we got them turned around now. Eric Sample, my sister Elaine on the right, and the other sister, and my sister Gloria in the center.
This is a dinosaur track. My foot is in the bottom of the frame with the dinosaur track above. Go ahead and put your foot over by one, Gabe, so I can see how big they are.
I don't know how I got this.
There you go.
I think it was Aunt Gloria's.
Do you want to know how they got here, Miriam?
Yeah, I do.
This was an ancient stream bed, okay, and this was mud. This was mud, and they walked around here looking probably for water.
Yeah, but has it become a fox?
And then a flood came through and carried more silt and sand and covered them over and filled those depressions. And then more earth, more floods came and more floods came, and it got thick, and then maybe then it changed and there was no flooding here. There was no water here, but instead there were sand dunes, and covered it over with more sand dunes, and then it got compressed because of the weight on top of it. It got compressed. I can tell you're fascinated with this.
I am.
It got compressed, and it got with the weight of it compressed it, and then over time and weight, then it turned into stone, and then through erosion, more streams came through and eroded away, or the wind eroded away, until it got back down to this level again that we're looking at, and their footprints were encased in it over time.
Wow.
And then, as I was saying, revealed through erosion. And that's how it happened. Right, Andrew?
Thank you. That's interesting. Here. Just my whole.
Where did you find that, Andrew?
In the bed.
You can't play with
In the berry place? You mean the cemetery?
Yes, he took it from the cemetery.
Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have done that. But that's done
There's
now.
a rock bed out there in the front.
Is that Rick's foot?
That gives you scale there.
This is huge.
We always need a human reference. Yeah, thank you.
We're anthropomorphic by nature.
because they had raids across the Colorado into these southern Utah communities by the Navajos where stock was driven off. Unfortunately, they never did have to, they were never under armed attack by Indians here, but the fort was mined for short periods of time from people out from St. George, and it represents a fortress and a rampart against the Navajo threat during the Black Hawk War in 1865 to 1868.
That's the Fort Pearce coming in right there to the Virgin River. And it goes down to the golf course, and right there where that we would have been in Arizona if we'd have gone straight south.
That's only 7
Those
miles,
hills
right?
right there are in Arizona. Those blue ones right there.
This is the start of the Arizona Strip.
This is the start of the Arizona Strip right here. They call it a strip because it's so isolated. There's no roads that cross the Grand Canyon. And so it's a cut-off strip of land that's Arizona that we have access to the southern end of Utah. Right. Well, actually, there's roads that go just straight south, but they're like this. They're dirt roads. But there's quite a few cattle companies out there. The Atkins. You guys ever heard of the Honeymoon Trail?
Yes, and about that, where is that?
But they would come across that below Colorado City, you know, that flat, okay, they come across there. And I'm not sure, but I was talking with Ralph, I think it's this one right here that they came through the cut, you know, had a little road and brought their wagons down.
Now, is Pipe Springs due east?
Pipe Springs is out this way, just a little bit. You have to get across the flat a little more south.
See, that's where the Berry brothers were killed.
Right. But then they'd come across and go down through that. That was the hardest part right there. The Hurricane Cliff was the very hardest part of the trail. And they'd come across Warner Valley and into St. George. We called it the Honeymoon Trail because, of course, they all got married
at the end of the trail.
At the end of the trail.
At the Mormon History Association, there was a talk on that, and they said that along some of those places they'd stop and get water, and what they would do is, because it was so muddy, they would scoop it into a barrel and then let it stand overnight, and the sediment would settle, and then they'd take the water off the top. But in some of those creeks coming up there, it was so silty that they would scoop it up, let it stand overnight in a good-sized cask, you know, a barrel, and there would only be 1.5 inches or 2 inches of clear water on top.
The rest would be kind of cement?
The rest would be kind of cement, yeah.
That scene right there is,
well, to me, that's Ivan's.
It
That's
is
those
Ivan's.
bluffs, that's the bench.
Is that one way in the background Jackson? I don't know. It's Ivan's, but I'm trying to think where it is in Ivan's.
I really like that one. That is a very pretty one. I know
And
it's
that's
right over
got to be where that is in some, I can't tell you right in the footprints, but in the general direction of that.
Well, these White Mountains to your right, that's looking up towards Snow's Canyon.
This one here is definitely Snow's Canyon. He's all right. It is Snow's Canyon.
We can just say looking north towards Snow's Canyon.
That's what I'd say.
Okay. Now we got to deal with 2 of them here.
Okay, the one on the left is like Norman said the other night. The big flat one is called Jackson Mountain, and the other one is called Jackson Peak. The location is on the Mataqua Road, going out to Mataqua, and it's not very far out from the Indian farm. They had those B-29s. They came from an Air Force way back further in the Midwest, I don't know, Carolinas or somewhere. And they were just loaded with all this radar equipment and everything. And they would come out here on missions, so to speak, and they would fly down under the mountains so that they were duplicating a tactical situation.
Right.
And then they were on this training mission, and it was a rainy day, closed day, and the guy says, "Okay, let's head her for home."
Well, I just want to say goodbye to the Briggs boys.
Okay, thanks.
They crashed
Okay.
that B-29 right into the top of that thing right there. And killed those guys. The fallacy of the thing was, gee, many Christmas, they were experts in the field with all the most recent and updated equipment, but an airplane traveling 600 something miles an hour, and he's
small margin of error.
And remember me telling you about old Dev?
Yeah.
Well, at one time, old Dev was wanting to be a pilot,
Yeah.
and I'd pilot this and pilot that, and I told old Dev I'd just been down to see a movie, and the old trainer was out there telling the recruits. He says, just remember one thing, boys. The sea and the sky are very unforgiving of the smallest mistake. And hell, when I told old Dev that, his mother kind of cringed because old Dev's made quite a few mistakes. Anyway.
Continues to.
He didn't follow up on pilot business. Oh, you sweet little puppy, you.
How many times have you heard him say that to how many different dogs?
Not nearly enough.